We begin with the border fighting between Cambodia and Thailand. Cambodia's prime minister is reportedly now ready for immediate talks with Thailand to end the latest violence along their disputed frontier. Fighting has spread along practically all areas of the border. At least 13 people have died and around 140,000 civilians have fled for safety since clashes broke out on Monday. This is the second cross-border conflict between the countries this year, and some families say they don't know how they can be expected to rebuild yet again.
This is Laung Dao, one of thousands forced to flee as fighting between Thailand and Cambodia flares up again. She lives in northeastern Thailand, where entire villages have been evacuated into mass shelters. It's the second time her family has been forced to flee in just a few months, after gunfire and shelling erupted again along the disputed frontier.
I want it to end. I want this to be the last fight to end it all.
Across the border, Cambodian families are facing the same fear.
I am very upset to see this war because we are poor. Our lives will get worse. When the previous war happened, it hurt us, so we have to fight against it. I have no son to serve in the army, but I have a nephew, and tomorrow he will join the military.
I am too worried about my house. I want to go back to see the house and property. But my wife and my children did not allow it because the Thai forces, they are still firing.
Both countries have accused the other of starting the latest round of clashes. The flare-up has shattered a fragile ceasefire brokered by the United States and Malaysia in July. That agreement briefly halted violence after 5 days of fighting. Dozens of people were killed. More than 100,000 people were forced to flee their homes. Thailand now says it's moving to expel Cambodian forces from what it claims is Thai territory. This aerial footage, released by Thai authorities, shows a tank strike destroying a compound directly across the border in Cambodia. The ceasefire had required both governments to pull back heavy weapons, dial down hostile rhetoric and restore diplomatic channels. But photographs from the border later showed artillery and weaponry still in place on both the Thai and Cambodian sides. The months that followed saw propaganda campaigns and sporadic cross-border attacks. Now, Thailand says diplomacy has reached its limit.
If Cambodia wishes to cease hostilities, they must only comply with what Thailand has stipulated.
As the century-old border dispute drags on, the region's most vulnerable find themselves displaced once again.
Well, for more, I'm joined now by journalist Tommy Walker. He is in Thailand near the border. Tommy, you're at a shelter for displaced people. What are the people there telling you? What have they seen and experienced?
Yes, actually, we're just round the corner because we were told not to continue filming there because of the sensitivity of the situation, and obviously the conflict is ongoing. But people were saying that they couldn't sleep, that they wanted to go home, and generally just people were in limbo about, what was going to happen next. And we've seen this before because of the July conflict. The shelter we were at there's about 7,000 or 8,000 people there. They were sleeping on hard floors, albeit with blankets. There was some hammocks and tents. They were being looked after in terms of water and food, but in reality, they just want to go home and they're unsure about when that's going to happen. So it's a real symptom and the impact of what conflict can do, certainly at these border areas, which has been going on throughout the year.
There have been media reports that a new ceasefire was perhaps in the cards, but that seems to have been misinformation. And tonight we're hearing that the leader of Cambodia is now ready for immediate talks with Thailand on stopping the fighting. What are you hearing?
Yes, there was a report earlier, certainly a rumoured report that there was a ceasefire that was due to take place tonight, 11 o'clock local time, but the Thailand Ministry of Foreign Affairs refuted that, said that that's not the case. And also the Thai Prime Minister Anatin Chanavokul came out and posted on social media and said status quo, the ceasefire isn't, there's no ceasefire agreement. Things might change now then if Hun Manet, as Prime Minister of Cambodia, has said that he wants talks. I assume Thailand will be a little bit more cautious on that. They blamed Cambodia for playing the victim card here. And as we've seen in that footage prior to coming on, Thailand is saying it's no time for negotiation. So they're really taking a firm hand now with this conflict because it's the second time it's erupted this year.
Yeah, I mean, there was fighting earlier this year, and that episode, it ended relatively quickly. This time around, however, with no ceasefire on the horizon, I mean, I have to ask you, is this likely to be a drawn-out period of fighting?
It feels angrier this time, and one of the reasons of that is because it's actually spread to other parts of the border. For example, I was in a place called Saigao earlier, which is Thailand and Cambodia's main economic hub. Normally, there's a lot of cross-border trade there, normal times, pre-war times. In July, there was no conflict there, but this time there's been conflict over them border. We saw that footage of those tanks earlier. And I heard outgoing artillery fire when I was near that border earlier, and the roads were very empty. There wasn't people there. Businesses were closed. Schools were closed. So it feels more widespread, this one. It feels like this is a built-up anger. There has been simmering. There has been other clashes this year since that Donald Trump brokered ceasefire in October. So this one could go on a little bit longer than the 5 or 6 days that went on in July. But we'd like to think that international pressure and people, having cool heads, that eventually the conflict will simmer down eventually.
Journalist Tommy Walker in Thailand tonight near the border with Cambodia. Tommy, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you.
Thank you.